when I said earlier that it's about pacing someone beforehand, pacing's about being at a particular rate or tempo. So if I'm walking at this speed and someone's lagging behind or speeding ahead, we're not at the same pace. We're not going to be in sync. So you need to make sure that you do that first. So with the guy, we'll call him agenda guy, what could I do when I first showed up at that meeting and you feel like you've got a disconnect, or you're dealing with somebody who's particularly difficult and you just don't feel that same connection with? There's certain things we can do to try and bring us into sync and alignment and end up at the same pace. So one of the things I did with him is making sure that we were sitting comfortably. So when I go into a boardroom, I don't want to be sitting on the opposite side of the table. When we're sitting like this, you don't feel very connected when there's a table in between. If instead we're on the corner together and we're sitting down, already you feel that energetically we're already connected. So I always make sure that if I'm at a restaurant, we're meeting for a coffee, I'll pull the chair around. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think you have to sit where you are in a boardroom. I'll always get as close as I can. Obviously, you don't want to be on top of them and in their personal space, but you do want to feel connected with them. So I did that with him. And then one of my favorite ways is number 7, to pace through an interest. So the interest for us is we just finished this conference together. So I asked him, how was the conference? How did you find it? When I'm cold calling, you'll often get a snippet of information that you can use for this. So it might be that they've just been promoted. It might be that they've just come back from holiday, or they've just had a massive conference. And so I'll note that down, and that's what I use as the interest to open the door when I next connect with them. So how was that conference? How did you find that? So using that interest the minute that you meet them so that you can open that door a little bit further. With him, he was one of those people, have you ever dealt with somebody who, when they speak, they like to think about every word before it comes out of their mouth? And you just want to slap them on the back of the head and say, spit it out. And so if I had have gone in and been really high energy, Kirsty, and speaking 100 miles an hour, how do you think he would have felt? Like he would have retracted. And so we wouldn't have been able to build that rapport. So obviously I'm not going to put myself in a coma and speak as slow as he was, but I really need to be present and be conscious. And that's where the checking yourself before you wreck yourself, using the music, it can take 2 minutes. I know that some of us are so busy that our appointments are back to back to back and we're just going straight in. But even if it's just when you're in the car, looking in the rear vision mirror, or when you're in the bathroom, changing in between appointments or freshening up. I know when you guys are putting the lipstick on, it's always a good moment. But, just use that minute to ask yourself, what's the next appointment about? What do I want to achieve? What would I like to get across? How do you get grounded and present before you go in? Because that helps you to be able to be in sync and at their pace and not come in like a tornado or depressed and flat if they're high energy. It helps you to be able to be conscious of that. Eye contact, sitting at the right degree, body language, vocal variety. So again, if I'm speaking really high and really, and he's sort of at this level. So it's just being conscious of it. I don't go in and think about this and check off my list, but what I do find is if I take the time to be present beforehand, that all of this just fits in. We generally, when we're with people, we take that time to either relax or get higher energy with them.